So Ryan, we're talking today about Jesus being the center of it all. And I know you've had quite the journey of a whole lot of church background, but what it means for Jesus to be at the center of your life has really shifted over the years. So talk a little bit, kind of the backstory of what got you to where you are now.
Yeah, backstory would certainly be that I attended church quite often as a kid and as a youth. As I grew up and got to hear everybody's opinions of Jesus, I decided I wanted to have one of my own, and so really dove into a lot of reading, a lot of research into what smarter people than I thought about Jesus, and that's really took off. Probably in my mid-20s, I was involved with a small church plant at that time, and both the pastors at that point were what I would call very much into reading, and I sort of saw their lives blossoming and wanted to be part of that, and so I certainly started reading a lot and diving into Scripture and trying to figure out who Jesus really was.
And so diving into Scripture and reading a bunch of theologians, and the outcome was not that you got bored, but that your life was changed in significant ways. So what did you discover about Jesus that is still having an impact as you keep going on this journey?
Yeah, certainly. I think I probably sound like a broken record to people that I talk to about Jesus, but really what I learned was all about love. I think I grew up with a Jesus that was loving, but he was also I was very afraid of him. I don't think I'm afraid of Jesus anymore. I found him to be much more personable, much more loving, involved in my daily life. It's not, I remember growing up and you'd feel like you had to say everything you did wrong and make sure that Jesus still loved you. I don't find myself living there anymore. I think I have found a much more loving Jesus that wants to be part of my life and wants to help guide it. So
it's beautiful. So it impacts the everyday. So give us an example of that. What's it look like for Jesus to be at the center of your everyday living, this Jesus who's so full of love?
Yeah, I think it really impacts how I react and interact with people that are in my life. I've certainly been through a number of things in my life that have impacted me and impacted others, my kids. I know, as you're aware, I've been through a divorce, and so you start to deal with people that don't have your best interest in mind, and I think the normal go-to would be to be very angry, to be very, I'm right, you're wrong. I've really tried not to live that way. Obviously, I do make mistakes, but overall, I really want my interaction with my ex-wife and even my kids to always be pointing to Jesus. That might not always look great, and that might not always be accepted, but I think that's a really big thing for me, is trying to live in a loving way without making it that everything is okay and everything is acceptable. For my kids, really the important thing is to continuously show them that Dad's capable of loving even their mother at this point, and so I don't want them to ever come out of this thinking that the right thing to do was to not love, and so I attempt to do that on a daily basis with them.
So even as you've been going through things that are challenging, I still see in you this heart that because of Jesus and his love, you have a big heart for other people and finds expression in the everyday stuff, but in other ways too. And maybe just talk about how that love of Jesus in and through you has worked out, maybe with Hope's Lantern or other things that have made a difference.
Yeah, I mean, Hope's Lantern is a very unique situation because I started that with my ex-wife. We both were very interested in helping kids around Jonathan Alder with food, and that really did just completely come out of a desire to love people. I think I say a lot. Like, bringing heaven to earth is a really important thing to me, and obviously loving is a way of doing that. And so just knowing that there were kids out there that were going hungry broke our hearts, and we really wanted to dive into that from a position of that they needed help. And I think on the website for Hope's Lantern it says, what does it say? Full bellies have a much better potential to meet Jesus than hungry bellies. And so we really dove into that. We couldn't do it alone. That's the amazing thing, like getting people that love Jesus as much as I do to come come along for that ride has been amazing. We've got, a ton of people that probably don't even know that this thing started out of, 8 or 10 people that really were madly in love with Jesus. And so they've come along with us and they've helped with our mission, maybe unbeknownst to them, helping us bring heaven to earth. And so that's been an amazing opportunity for us.
Love it, brother. I love the centrality of Jesus, how it impacts the small stuff and the big stuff, and then overflows to impact people in a way that's really impacting our community, our school district. So thank you for being somebody that is imperfectly striving to allow Jesus to be at the center of everything and to let that overflow to impact other people.
Great.
So Ryan, obviously, come and know Jesus like you have has completely changed your life for the better. And I just wonder what you would say to folks that are listening that are wondering, do I know that Jesus? Have I met him in that kind of way? Is it making a difference? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would really say if you think you've met Jesus and your life has not radically changed, I would really question, have you met the real Jesus? And to me, meeting the real Jesus is so important, and I do not want anybody to miss out on that. And helped. I feel like a buffoon. I'm just rambling, so let's stop.
Now I'm on mic, so I'm trying to have my thoughts a little bit more clear to ask you a meaningful question.
This is not my bailiwick. I'm just gonna stop. I don't like this. Okay.
I can talk really fast.
So can I.
Ryan Johnson, he's a cool human being.
I'll redo it all if I have to.